Senator Leahy.
Thank you, and I want to thank Chair Durbin for holding this important hearing. Now, I've long been concerned about the human consequences of U.S. military actions abroad. We know when they're justified. We have so many others that we don't even know why they're being done. Since September 11th, drone strikes in particular have raised very serious legal and human rights concerns. They've left an untold number of civilian deaths in their wake, and that's the problem, untold number, because it's not reported accurately. We have a strong national interest in preventing the loss of innocent lives caused by our actions. So I have a question for Hina Shamsi. While the most important focus should be preventing civilian casualties from happening in the first place, something I think we all agree upon, when they occur, the U.S. government has to be ready to provide redress, including through ex gratia payments. And we have a specific law on that. Unfortunately, the Department of Defense's track record in conducting credible investigations and providing these payments have been abysmal. Congress recently repeatedly authorized ex gratia payments in the law, most recently allocated $3 million in annual funding to compensate civilians. And yet, in 2020, for example, when there are a significant number of civilian casualties, the Pentagon did not make a single offer of compensation. And that's notwithstanding the law that we passed. So, Ms. Shumsey, how does it damage our moral standing and our reputation when the U.S. government fails to provide redress after causing civilian casualties? And what steps should the Defense Department make to ensure that credible investigations are done, innocent people who are harmed receive timely compensation?
Thank you, Senator Leahy. It is significantly damaging to our reputation, but also our obligations to provide amends to people that we have harmed. But let me just start by saying, of course, you're exactly right that that after Congress authorized $3 million of ex gratia payments, first year it was reported out that none were made. But it also goes back to a sort of significant issue of the military needs to know that it has actually conducted operations that are lawful. And what we know, and I know personally from having advised civilians who reach out to us from Yemen or Somalia or elsewhere, it is extremely hard for civilians to even access the military and to provide their information about innocent lives wrongly taken. And it's important to recognize that where that starts out is application of civilian harm prevention methods, and to recognize that in the context of actual recognized wars, for example, like in Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria, there have been fundamental problems with tracking civilian deaths and injuries, significant gaps between the military's own assessments because it relies on its own data, does not conduct investigations that incorporate information from civilians or witnesses, and all
we
of
also
this.
have the problem that there's sometimes a delegation of authority in doing that is faulty, and I realize that since September 11th, Republican and Democratic administrations have developed what's been a secret body of law for drone strikes in countries where Congress has never even authorized the use of military forces. So the executive branch, essentially judge and jury, deciding whether it's complying with its own rules for drone strikes. What does that accomplish, that lack of transparency?
It's a fundamental problem, Senator Leahy. And what it goes back to is where we sort of started out some of the issues with the hearing, which is that using secret legal interpretations applied to secret facts based on secret evidence. After 2001, the successive administrations came up with interpretations of authorizations for use of force, the 2001-2002 authorizations that went far beyond what Congress had authorized and permitted. These secret interpretations, some of which only came to light after the ACLU and the New York Times sued and only came to light years later, these are important things that this committee can demand transparency of, using all of the powers it has, because it is under this body of secret law that successive administrations have grabbed power that belongs to Congress under Article 1, the power to, under the Declare War Clause, and through interpretations of terms like associated forces, successor forces, novel theories of self-defense, have gone far beyond what Congress intended or authorized in acting with the use of force in multiple countries around the world.
My time is up, but I'm going to submit for the record a question to you and to Ms. Amutawaku. Why, from a human rights perspective, why it's important for the U.S. government to accurately acknowledge the number of civilian casualties, and what could the Department of Defense do to improve the reporting of the number of civilian casualties? So I'll submit that for the record, if I might, Mr. Chair.
Without objection. Senator